With a franchise as massive as Pokémon, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to make some pretty big mistakes. Whether intentional or not, there are a handful of Pokémon that Game Freak probably regret ever making. Throughout Pokemon's nearly 30-year run, they've had to ban and censor episodes, ban cards, ban Pokemon from competitive play, change the designs of certain Pokemon, and convince religious organisations that Pokemon isn't devil worship propaganda.
Is Pokemon demonic?
The answer to that is yes, they are all Oriental demons.
But some of those are videos for another time, because today I wanted to specifically go over Pokemon whose entire existence is controversial, and who can't escape their bad reputation, whether it's well-known scandals or just fandom infighting. Hello, I have some yapping to do, so bear with me, or you can skip to the time on the screen. But I'm finally redeeming myself for the 4-hour-long Pokemon video I made last year that took me 3 months of full-time work. Then I went to film it and my mic kept making weird noises, and I spilt chocolate milk down my shirt halfway through, and I found out I can't pronounce microtransactions without a lisp. Microtransactions. Microtransactions. Fucking hell. So yeah, I gave up, and ever since I've been trying to think of a more manageable Pokemon video to make. Because it is like my main interest, but mostly I just want them to invite me on those fancy trips they do for the Pokemon World Championships. Please Pokemon, a girl can dream. So if you know me, you know my favourite Pokemon is Chatot, and I wanted to make a video about the whole teaching it to swear thing. And then I also wanted to make a video about the Kadabra lawsuit, so I was like, hey, why not just stick them together and throw a few more Pokemon in? So that was my thought process here. Probably not the world's most original video, but you know. I think I might redo the 4-hour-long video at like 10k, and also I had an idea. I'm gonna do an Animal Jam Spike giveaway like the good old days. You're welcome. Oh, and on today's episode of I Have a Weirdly Specific Pair of Earrings to Match Every Single Topic I Ever Cover, we have little Pikachu tails. Okay, ignore the fact that I only have one. I lost the other one. Oops. Just pretend I have two. I don't normally do a business plug, but I probably should. These are from Hillman's Handmade. They're struggling a bit to stay open at the moment, so I just wanted to send some support their way. Very cheap, very cool, very sexy earrings, thank you. Anyway, on with the video. Kadabra is a Gen 1 Psychic Pokemon that wields a spoon alongside its evolution Alakazam. This design choice was inspired by the spoon-bending magic trick in which a person seemingly bends a spoon with their mind, fitting for a Psychic-type Pokemon. The magician, or well, psychic, most well known for doing this trick was Yuri Geller. In November 2000, Geller sued Pokemon for $60 million, alleging that they turned him into an, and I quote, evil occult Pokemon character. This Pokemon first came to his attention when fans started bringing him Kadabra cards to sign when he visited Japan. The similarities between him and this Pokemon, which was noticed by many fans, alongside the fact that Kadabra's Japanese name was Yunjera, caused him to sue for appropriation of identity. If you don't know, within the Japanese syllabary katakana, which is often used to translate English words to Japanese, the letter L is substituted for an R, so yeah, this literally does just say Geller. Which cemented the idea that Kadabra wasn't just a coincidence but based on Geller himself. Pokemon denied this, but even if it was purposeful, like, I'd be flattered. Cough cough Lady Gaga. And honestly, it probably was on purpose, considering the Pokemon Abra is also seemingly named after the psychic Edgar Cayce. In the Pokemon TCG, Kadabra never had any cards made after 2003, and after 2006 it very rarely made appearances in the anime. However, after receiving thousands of emails from Pokemon fans, Geller had a change of heart in 2020 and allowed Pokemon to make cards of Kadabra again. After that, Kadabra had cards released first in 151 in 2023, then Paldean Fates and Twilight Masquerade. Then later in the mobile app Pokemon Pocket TCG, where it has 2 different cards. These days he's actually a self-proclaimed huge Pokemon fan, and has Kadabra cards in his museum, cause yeah, he has a museum. We love a bit of character development. 20 years is a long time to go without any cards, and yet Kadabra still has more cards than a lot of Pokemon. Did you know Kubfu only has 1 card? Absolutely diabolical. Whilst this controversy is fairly well known, I can't not include it. The Pokemon Jynx, also from Gen 1, had to have its design changed. Jynx is referred to in canon as the human shape Pokémon. Originally it was depicted with a pitch black face and big exaggerated lips, very closely resembling minstrel show blackface, which stereotyped and made a mockery of African Americans, hence why Jynx's design would become widely regarded as a racist caricature. Pokémon quietly changed Jynx's skin colour to purple with the English release of Gold and Silver in the year 2000, and the previous episodes of the Pokémon anime featuring Jynx were either edited or pulled from air. What's less commonly known though, is that Blossom and Smoochum both had the same treatment whilst in development and had their skin colours changed. Again, a very infamous incident. The episode Electric Soldier Porygon, which was aired in Japan on December 16th, 1997, features Pikachu blocking an attack, resulting in an explosion portrayed with rapidly flashing blue and red strobe lights. There were other scenes in this episode featuring these flashing lights, however the worst of it came at the end of the episode. Due to this scene triggering photosensitive epilepsy, nearly 700 children were hospitalised. Despite the fact that it was technically Pikachu triggering this lighting, since the episode was Porygon-centric, it was heavily associated with what was known as the Pokémon shock in Japan. And Porygon had no major features in the Pokémon anime since, due to negative association. The Pokémon anime also went on hiatus for nearly 4 months after the incident. Porygon was later given 2 evolutions, Porygon 2 and Porygon Z, but these both never appeared in the anime either. I was always scared of Porygon Z as a kid because I was obsessed with Pokepark, and why does it sound like that? In 2020, the official Pokemon account tweeted, "Porygon did nothing wrong." This was later deleted because I don't know about you, but I would say that hospitalising 700 children is in fact doing something wrong. This is a less well-known one, but in the Japanese release of Diamond and Pearl, Registeel's sprite was doing an Elon Musk, if you will. This was later changed for the English release. Regirock's reputation, on the other hand.
Now, Homer, don't you turn into a cunty Regirock with a handbag!
If Chatot has no fans, I'm dead. Chatot is a Gen 4 parrot Pokemon with the signature move Chatter. Chatter is a move that lets you record your voice as a field move like Cut or Rock Smash, which replaces Chatot's cry. The louder your voice is, the higher chance the move has of confusing the opponent, so most people's Chatot cries ended up being just like a crunchy, pixelated scream. Maybe Pokemon naively assumed people would hum a little song for it or something, not use it to call people slurs. They were just asking for that to happen, let's be honest. Because of this, Chatot was banned from competitive play. Not too much of a tragedy, to be honest, it was one of the weakest Pokemon. Chatot was banned during both Gen 4 and Gen 5, but the move Chatter no longer has this function in Gen 6 for obvious reasons, and instead of needing to shout into your mic, it was guaranteed to confuse the opponent. Honestly, I think the DS microphone was a curse because I can guarantee we've all been bored to tears trying to teach our Nintendog its name. I'm glad it's not a thing on the Switch, maybe a hot take. Similarly, there was a feature in Gen 4 known as Pokeball Seals. You can use this feature to get animations to play when you send a Pokemon out, which included letters, so you could spell things out with little to no restrictions as far as I'm aware. Gay Darkrai, you will always be famous to me. For the first 20 or so years of its existence, Vaporeon was a well-loved and not controversial in the slightest Pokemon. You probably know where this is going. In December 2018, a 4chan user posted on a Pokemon-themed board about why they thought Vaporeon was the most ideal candidate for human and Pokemon breeding. I'm not going to read it out because it's disgusting, but some of their reasoning included Vaporeon has no fur to hide its nipples, so it's incredibly easy for one to get you in the mood. I was not aware that was something people found attractive. Over the next few years, this post became a copypasta and slowly picked up as a meme across the internet. And now this is Vaporeon's reputation forever. Call me a special snowflake or whatever, but I genuinely get nervous talking to Pokemon fans because so many of them make jokes like this, I just can't get past it. I have this Vaporeon plushie and I took it to college once for a project. Do you know how many people yelled, "Did you know?" at me on the bus? Free. Every time I look at this guy, I just get the "I could be a good mother" song stuck in my head. My poor sopping wet little meow meow. Quite literally, actually. And in a similar vein, Typhlosion was a Pokemon that had a clean record for many years up until October 2024, when tons of Game Freak's files were leaked. Because of these leaks, we found out about so many cool things like beta designs for Pokemon and some not so cool things like a piece of lore writing about Typhlosion disguising itself as a human and having a child with a human woman. Since then, a lot of Typhlosion fans say they can't see it the same way ever again. But another leaked story about Octillery didn't even take the precaution of making the Pokemon turn into a human like with Typhlosion, because it was just flat out about a man, and I quote, having relations with the Octillery and throwing it back into the sea. And there's a third similar story about a girl passing out in the forest and then giving birth to a Slakoth, and then her friends kill her and she throws herself into a lake. Very cheery. I think it's important to remember that these were never intended to be found and they weren't made canon for a very good reason. So try not to let it ruin your favourite Pokemon for you. So those were some of the most controversial Pokemon to date, and I'm sure there will be more in the future. Hopefully not in the way of more weird breeding kink fanfiction written by Game Freak employees. If you'd like to see more, feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and goodbye!